Making a plugin is surprisingly easier than I thought. So here's how to make one. Oh wait, the script says the basics. Whoops, sorry. Let's start off with even making the plugin. Let's add a script. Scared of scripting? Too bad, you'll learn some anyway. Starting off with the toolbar. This is what holds the main buttons to even use the plugin. Or just one button. Whichever is fine, I guess. Oh right, don't even... make sure to set the... run context! Plugin! Let's start with plugin. This will be used to create most of the elements here. First, we type the colon key, then type create toolbar. These are required. You'll notice something up here. This is an argument. It has a name, in this case, name, and the value needed. In this case, a string. In simple terms, string values are just lines of text. Anyway, name it what you want. Good job! You just made your first toolbar!
Blah, 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 blah.
Let's bind it to something that we can reuse later on in the script. Before everything, type local and whatever you want. Only letters and underscores, I think. If your brain is still functioning, then you notice that local stands out. That being red. This means it's a statement. It just tells the script that this next part will be the variable name, or just variable. Now we put the equal sign, which the stupid AI already did for me. Yay! It's really stupid though. In plain English, this says, define the variable with this value. Let me stop my past self here real quick, because I actually looked into that statement a little more, and it's supposed to be define as local. Without it, it's a global variable. Always check the documentations. Great, but we aren't done yet. To even see the toolbar, we still have to add a button to it. First, define the variable for the button. Now here's why we added the toolbar to a variable. Notice that there's no create button under plugin. Let's get the toolbar variable. Same as with plugin. Oh hey, there it is! Immediately you'll notice there's way more arguments than last time. Button ID is the internal name of the element. Over here is the visible name, or title. Tooltip is the text that shows below the title, and icon name is the image of the button. But wait, its argument is a string! How could it be an image if the required value is a string? Good eye, Mr. Bear. Can't directly put the image inside the script. You have to get it by a link. First, let's fill out these two. That way they're out of the way. There's two ways of getting an image. Either getting the link directly from the website, or using this very short link thing. This is what I used. Assuming you already know how to get the ID of the image, just paste it in. Now fill the last argument. What? It's because I got the asset ID instead, huh? Of course it is. Now that that's working, we have our button! Let's make it do something. Quick side note, if you don't want your button to be clickable while away from the viewport, go ahead and set this property to false. This is a boolean value. It can only be true or false. I'm sounding like I'm getting quieter. I need to wait till tomorrow to continue this. Let's bind some code to this click event. Every event property will have a method named connect. Any function or thread inside these will run it when the event fires. We'll do a function. While ours won't, functions can have arguments too. Regardless, we still have to put the parentheses anyway. From here, hitting enter will automatically put the end. Remember, this closes the method. Now write anything you want it to do. It doesn't have to be my example, I'm just doing whatever I wanted. You can test your plugin without publish. Okay. Creating those drop downs is as simple as doing create plugin menu. The way things are named is a little weird, so I'll just fix that, I guess. ID is the same as button ID from earlier, and icon is the same as icon name. Why did they do this like this? I don't know. Now that it's out of the way, let's make an action that we can then put into the menu. To test it, I'll be binding this to the F key. Show async is how you make it appear, except it doesn't right now because we haven't even added the action to it. Let's get the menu variable. Now we can add action. An instance is an object. Actions are considered instances, so input the action variable. Here's the preview of what it would look like. You can even put menus inside of menus, which basically makes a submenu. The separator is pretty self-explanatory. What about those panels that you can drag around? Those are dock widgets. And they're a lot easier than I thought. Let's make the variable for our widget. You already know how the IDs work here, so let's just fill that in. The widget info is for when the dock is opened for the first time. I suggest making a variable for this too. Initial dock state determines whether it is docked on any side of the viewport or is not docked anywhere. Kind of off screen, but initial enabled is whether it's on by default. Not too sure about this one. And over here is for the default size and the minimum size. There's actually two types of number values. Integers can only count count by whole numbers, while floats allow decimal numbers, but loses precision the higher it goes. We can give it a title by changing that property. The widget is still empty. Let's give it a GUI. Making the GUI is as simple as making one for a game. My recommendation is to put everything inside one big frame. Sure, I'm not doing that in this demonstration. That's just because it's one little image. Now put the frame inside the plugin script. Putting the screen GUI inside the Dock Widget doesn't work. Trust me, I tried it. Back in the script, we'll make a variable for the UI as a clone. Oh yeah, for organizing, I decided to put the UI in a folder. And finally, we set the UI's parent to the widget. Now you know the basics of making a plugin. That's plugins in 5.5 minutes.